All right, Arzu, thank you for joining us. Now, amongst those killed in the Operation Sindoor was Abdul Rauf Azhar, brother of JEM Chief Masood Azhar and one of India's most wanted terrorists. On January 23, 2002, Wall Street Journal journalist Daniel Pearl had in fact travelled to the city of Karachi to interview terrorist Mubarak al-Gilani. On his way to the interview, he was kidnapped by Pakistani terrorists. A few days after his disappearance, Pearl's captors released a video in which he is recorded condemning American foreign policy and repeatedly telling the camera that he and his family are Jewish and have visited Israel, following which his throat is slit and his head severed from his body. Before killing Pearl, the captors issued an ultimatum to the United States government, namely including demands that all Pakistani terrorists be freed from American prisons and that the United States move forward with a halted shipment of F-16s for the Pakistani government. Omar Saeed Sheikh, a British citizen of Pakistani origin, was arrested by Pakistani authorities and sentenced to death in July 2002 for that execution, but his conviction was overturned by a Pakistani court in 2020. Rauf Azhar, the younger brother of JEM founder Masood Azhar, was also the mastermind behind the 1999 IC-814 hijacking, which resulted in the release of Al-Qaeda operative Omar Saeed Sheikh. Sheikh would later go on to abduct and behead Daniel Pearl, a reporter with the Wall Street Journal, in a brutal execution that shocked the world. While Donald Trump and the US have signed a $2.3 billion check for Pakistan and the IMF have now refused to take a strong stand against Pak and terror, here's how the family of Daniel Pearl celebrated Askar's elimination.
Beautiful.
Peter Baum, foreign editor, Weekly Blitz, is joining us live on the broadcast. Peter, it's obviously a very sort of emotional yet happy moment for Daniel Pearl's family as they found out that finally justice has been given to the family with this attack, of course, by India on terror infrastructure, which has also eliminated Masood Azhar's younger brother.
Yes, indeed. I think this proves the high intellectual capacity and military intelligence of the Indian Operation Sindoor. This targeted strike is clearly apparent and indicates how precise India's response was to the disgraceful attack by Pakistani-funded terrorists. Not the first terrorist attack, I may say, funded and weaponized by the Pakistani government. And what was interesting to all of us in the United Kingdom was the fact that a high-ranking Pakistani minister, Mr. Sheikh, was actually interviewed and categorically accepted that Pakistan as a country were funding, weaponizing and supporting a whole variety of Islamic terrorists that have created so much damage to India and her people. So the death of this wanted terrorist is to be welcomed, because he would have lived his life normally and peacefully, and the fact that India was so precise in its response is to be welcomed globally. May I say, what is interesting here in the UK, that the Pakistani propaganda machine has been working 24/7, denying India's attacks were targeted and stating that they were random and that many civilians have been killed. And in fact, the Pakistani military had rebuffed the India attack. And at one stage, I read an absurd report that Pakistan had shot down something like 7 Indian fighter jets. The Indian government should be aware that they have much support here in the UK, but there is also a lot of opposition to the Indian government and to Hindus generally. This has become almost an anti-Hindu propaganda campaign whipped up by the Pakistani government. And here in the UK, because of the large Muslim demographic, British MPs in government are very afraid to come out and do the morally decent thing and stand up for India in her campaign against Pakistani-funded
Absolutely. At the end of the
terrorism.
day, Peter Baum, this was, of course, an attack on terror. This was a targeted attack just on terrorists. And that's something that India said, that we're not fighting the Pakistani establishment. We're merely fighting terror infrastructure and terrorists. This is, in fact, a service to the world that India was carrying out through this targeted strike. Obviously, it's given justice to the family of Daniel Pearl. But when will the US and UK wake up and also commend India's efforts in targeting terror? Surely the US also must now come down on Pakistan.
You're absolutely correct. And I am afraid that Mr. Trump has had a little bit of an about turn recently. And I think the Qatari government and the offers of, let's say, financial rewards may have turned Mr. Trump's head somewhat. I hope not, and I hope that there are sufficient pro-Indian voices within the UK administration to actually, whether it's behind closed doors, but we would prefer publicly, to come down and condemn the continued Pakistani funding and weaponizing of these terrorist groups, creating so much damage, not only to India and her people, but to the global community.
Lev Aran, Israel.